All right, guys, it should be Sunday night at this point in time. And I wanted to make sure I give you guys a little bit of a heads up for something for the upcoming week. I know I did a video earlier today, and there's something that I forgot in that video, so I wanted to make sure that I talked to you about it now before we got started with Monday tomorrow. So all of you should be going through and doing your tracker sheets, okay? If you have not printed these off, please, please, please do that. I asked you guys to do that prior to the start of the program, and this is so vitally important as we move through. Here's what I want you to know for this week is that you're going to find that tomorrow when you have total body core, you're going to be doing many of the same exercises. In fact, you are going to be doing the exact same exercises. However, instead of doing 2 sets of everything, you're going to do 3 sets of everything. And with doing 3 sets of everything, you're like, but the time is still 60 minutes. You're right. The reason why it's still 60 minutes is because last week you learned what those moves were. And she also gave you a lot of rest, not a lot, but she gives you a good amount of rest time between those exercises while she's teaching you. She makes up for that time because the program is still 60 minutes today. She makes up for it because now you do 3 sets rather than the 2. So, but here's what I'm going to tell you. To help you with time, and I didn't realize this until after I'd already gone through. So I went through on week 1 and I wrote down the weights that I was using and the bands, right? So here's week 1, here's the first set, here's the second set, all right? And I even wrote down, like, when I did tricep push-ups, how many did I do on my toes and how many did I modify to do on my knees? I wrote that down. What I'm going to recommend that you do tonight is get the sheet out, okay? And go through and write down, all right, where you're starting at over here on the side. So I did not do that when I did this the other day, but let me show you what I did. Okay, so this is from AAA because I was like, oh, this would be a good idea to do. Duh. All right, so on AAA, you'll see over here on the side, I wrote down what my weights were last week and what band I used, okay? Because that way, when it came time to know what it was, I knew exactly what weight that I needed when I started. Because one thing you're going to find out, and I didn't think this was even possible after just 1 week, but when I did total body core, when I did booty, when I did all those, I found that I actually increased my weights or increased my bands, if not both, in every single one of those exercises from week 1 to week 2. That seems odd that within a week you can gain that much muscle to where you can up, but I'm not the only person that did that. Almost every single coach in our test group with Autumn did that. And I think also in speaking with Claire, if I recall correctly, she did the same thing as well, where her bands and weights, I think, were increased for week 2 as well. I might be wrong, but I think they were. So with that being said, you've got to know where you're starting. So go through and you're like, okay, well, I tracked my weights here. Go through on the side and write down on the side for tomorrow where you're starting. That way, when you go to do it, you're like, okay, if she says, you know, you should be increasing your weight, you know exactly where you are, and that's less time that you have to go and be like, oh, hold on, where was I? Let me flip back. Oh, I started at a 5. Let me start at a 5 today. No, it's already right there. Oh, I did 10. Let me start off with 12 and see if I can do it. The other thing is that start off and bump it up and see if you can do it. If you can't, it's way too hard, or your form starts to go, then when you go back to set 2, then bump back to where you were. But try it at the heavier weight and at the heavier band. So that's one thing I want to make sure that you guys are thinking of. So I hope that you guys have a great workout tomorrow, total body core, one of my favorites. I'm loving all the workouts, to be really honest with you. The only one that I'm like, oh, is the one we did yesterday, which is the cardio flow, because that thing just kicks my ass. So hope you guys have a great rest of your Sunday evening. If you have any questions, put the comments below, but make sure you guys are tracking. And like I said, copy over from what you did last week, copy it over onto this little side for this week. So you know going into it, this is where I started. Here's where I know I need to bump it up. All right. I will talk to you guys later. Bye.